Hello guys, I'm back to make another video for how to survive your first day in 7 Days to Die. I did one of these in Alpha 12.5 and some things have changed. We're now in Alpha 13.8 and we're actually at the end of Alpha 13.8. It sounds like we're looking at Alpha 14 probably dropping here in the next 2 weeks or so. Of course, then it'll take a couple of patches to get it stable, get the bugs worked out, and it does sound like Alpha 14 is going to be mostly optimizations, so I expect that most of the information in this video will be pertinent. If I find out it's not, then I'll make a new video after they get Alpha 14.1.2, something like that out, once it's kind of stable. In the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and make this video, and I'm actually thinking that this will probably be part of a series because there's a lot of how to survive the first day videos out there, but there's not a lot of what to do your first night, what do you do on your second day, what are your priorities, and of course a lot of that is subjective. Different people have different ways of playing the game, but I've got a method that I've started countless games, and it works pretty well every time for me, so I'll probably share that in a couple of different videos. So right now, one thing to note is that I do have the compo pack installed just like in my last video. That adds a lot of user-generated prefabs to the map. I think that it is fantastic. It adds a ton of variety. It means that you're not going to constantly walk up and see the same house over and over again. It is completely unbalanced, however. Some of those prefabs have a ton of great loot in them. They make great bases. So if you're looking for the hardest challenge, that's probably not a great thing to have. But if you're looking for a lot more variety, I think that's fantastic, both for new and old players. And I'm just going to leave it installed because I don't want to have to uninstall it. So I'm going to start a new game. And going to set up a survival single player game. This video, by the way, is for new players. There's probably not a lot of information here if you've got 10 or 20 hours into the game, unless you're really struggling. So I'm going to cover some basics here. Survival single player mode is what I'm going to start. You can also start a multiplayer mode if you think you might want to invite your friends into it later. Game world, I'm going to pick random gen. Navezgane is getting reworked for the next alpha, but right now it's kind of not that great, so just been playing random gen. Game name, you pick whatever you want here. And the game name acts as your seed for your map. So every time you type in a new combination of letters and numbers, you're going to get a new seed. And that's going to be important here in a moment. We're going to mention some stuff of that. All of my options are standard. Difficulty setting, Nomad, that's a good starting spot. For most people, day length, 16 hours. I actually prefer this at 18 hours because I find that the nights are a little too long, the days are a little too short. But for the purpose of the video, I'm going to leave it at default. Zombies run is at default. What that means is that they will walk during the day. We'll be able to outrun them during the day. But at night, they're going to run, and they're going to be able to outrun us. So that means we're going to have to find shelter at night, basically. Enemy aggression is normal. If you change that to feral, then it means that they will find you every night no matter what. Basically, it gives them what they call GPS at night. They can find you, kind of like the feral hordes on the 7 days. So I do play with that on oftentimes, especially late in the alphas, and I think it's a fun option to turn on. However, I'm not going to use it for this video. Persistent profiles just means that you have to log in with the same character each time in this game. That's more pertinent to multiplayer servers. And then the modded options, I'm not going to go through them each, but in my opinion in Alpha 13.8, these are pretty decent. Just the defaults are pretty decent. Back in older alphas, I used to change the loot abundance to like 25%. And this alpha, I think they're getting the balancing pretty close, and I can leave it at 100% and not feel like the game's over in a day. So we're going to go ahead and start, and it's going to start generating the world. Now, one thing that I see on the forums often is advice to new players that if you are starting your very first world and you spawn into a snow biome, you quit, come back to this screen, type in the new game name, and try again. And I agree with that 100%. If you're a brand new player and you've never played before, starting in a snow biome is going to end very poorly for you. It's just going to give you a sour taste about the game. Now, if you're an older player and you want a challenge, that's great. Okay, so we're spawning in and it is raining. I'm instantly getting wet. I'm on the edge of a snow biome. I didn't actually spawn into the snow biome. And we've got pine forest, and I'm betting down that hill there is something else. As you can see, my graphics options are turned down quite a bit for the video, and I do keep my grass draw distance turned down all the time because it makes it easier to see items that are out on the ground past my grass draw distance. It is a little bit cheaty, but I find it to be useful, and it also improves my frame rate quite a bit. So, a little thunder and lightning, a little weather. First thing I'm going to do, get 2 grass, 2 wood, and this is a lot easier if I just find some bushes, but this was the first thing I saw. Now I'm committed. Okay. And 2 stone. And one thing I want to note is that when you first spawn in to a new world, you've got 5 hours of zombie free time in your starting area. So I'm going to just pick up some other stuff while I'm looking for my stone. There we go. I'm not going to stray too far from this starting area until I feel like I've gotten what I need to get out of it. Because right now, as I look around, there's no zombies around me. It's going to stay that way until about noon or until I wander too far away from this little starting area. Okay, so I've got 2 wood, 2 stone, 2 plant fibers at least. I hit tab, open up my inventory, go to the first tab here is basics, and the stone axe should be the first thing on your list now. I'm going to make that stone axe. While it's doing that, I'm going to move my bandage. I always want to keep my bandage right here. I am cold. I'm getting cold fast, and that's partly because I'm wet. So I'm going to put this stone axe here, and then I'm going to move away from the snow because it is too cold up here. So I've already got hypothermia. That is partly because of the rain. It is going to force me to move sooner than I would have liked. As long as I'm moving. And right here is why we recommend, if you are a brand new player and you start out in the snow biome, that you just restart. Because as you can see, I'm already taking damage from the hypothermia. My stamina is all the way down. I had to move out of my starting area before I really wanted to. I can't run. That means I can't outrun zombies. That's the real killer right there, is that if I run into a zombie right now, it's fight or flight. I'm going to hold the torch. That's going to give me a little bit more warmth, and I'm going to keep moving downhill. And as a general rule, downhill equals warmer, uphill equals colder. I really haven't found a case where that's not the case. And it is continuing to rain, which is continuing to make me wet. My stamina is going back up because I'm back into hypothermia, just stage 1. I'm going to continue to try to avoid zombies as best as I can, though, because I'm betting that I can't outrun them for very long. And if I would happen to come across a dog, that would pretty much be game over at this point. for me. So I should have enough wood and fiber to make a bow. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Now I got lucky because I spawned on the edge of that biome with a pretty clear path out. A lot of times the game will spawn you in to where you're in the middle of that biome and you look around you and you just can't tell which way is going to be the shortest way out. Again, you saw how quickly, and in this case it was partly because I was wet because of the rain, but that's completely possible for a new player to experience. Even for an older player, if I had been in the middle of that biome and had no clear path out, that would have been a death sentence. So sometimes you just spawn in and it's just not going to work. So I got a little stone there from busting up that rock. I'm going to make some arrows. I got some feathers. And my bow here is my weapon of choice on the first day. The bow is not a great weapon, but it is, in my opinion, and I'm going to leave that lead because we are a ways away from using firearms, which is where lead's useful. So the bow is not a great weapon by any means. I'm going to grab some more rock while I got a nice empty spot here, no zombies. But it's better than melee because melee combat in this game is... the hitboxes are very wonky, for lack of a better term. And I do tend to get hit when I don't think I should be getting hit. And here in the beginning of the game, getting hit even once can a lot of times lead to infection, and they really do a lot of damage while you're not wearing any armor. So it's best just to avoid melee combat if at all possible. I'm busting these bushes here to grab some easy wood, but what I really want is these trees, especially if I can get to them without angering that bear over there. If you do make a bear or a dog angry on your first day, run. Just sprint away from them in a straight line, or as close to a straight line as you possibly can. You can't fight them. It's pretty much impossible. It's not going to end well. And they will both give up the chase pretty quickly. Dogs and bears only follow you for, maybe 15 seconds or so. And then you'll hear a growl or a howl, special noise. I'd run a little further than that. There we go, I broke my axe. And that's the preferred method here, is we want to just go ahead and use those stone axes all the way up. And every time I make a new one, I get a nicer one. So we're going to make some more arrows. It takes a lot of arrows to do any kind of meaningful damage here in the beginning. And I'm also picking up cotton. Now, I've lost track of that bear, and you might end up getting to see me get chased because of that. But there he is. Ooh, I think he just fell through the world. So I will avoid that spot. It is an alpha, still some glitches. We're going to see a few of those, I'm sure. He might actually just pop right back up, or he might be gone for good. It's hard to say. I am still cold, as you can see. What that means is that while I'm cold, my stamina is getting drained, and my food is getting drained. So I'm actually getting hungry faster than what I normally would. Normally, if you're not cold or hot, food and water are not going to be a big issue on the first day. You've got more than enough to get through a day, and then they provide you with a bottle of water and a can of food, which will get you through the second day. And you guys just saw me open up a trash pile right there. I had to move on because of the zombie, but I did open up a trash pile and found a skill book, the pistol skill book, which is actually a really good skill book to get on the first day. So that means if I start finding pistol parts, I can start assembling them into a pistol. As I move further away from that biome, it seems like I am getting a little warmer. Now, one thing that I can do, because I do seem to be right on the edge of cold, is I'm going to go ahead and grab some more plant fibers, and I'm going to make some plant fiber clothing. I don't normally bother with plant fiber clothing unless it's a temperature issue, because it doesn't really provide much protection and doesn't really do a lot for the temperature either. But it is something easy to make here on the first day. And I'm starting to attract some zombie attention, so I'm going to move on down the road. And I came across a gravel path here. And so we want to follow this gravel path because gravel paths always lead to something. Now, that something isn't always useful, but they always lead to something. Sometimes it'll be a pond, and ponds, at this point in the game, I can fill up a couple of bottles of water, but they're not super useful. I could take that corn, but I'm not too concerned about food right now, so I'm probably just going to leave it alone. And same thing for the brass. I'm not really concerned about collecting brass because I'm not several days away from having firearms. Chances are I did get lucky with that pistol book, so I might have a pistol sooner rather than later. But normally I'd hang around in my 5-hour window until my zombies spawned in, just collecting grass, wood, stone, making maybe some clothing if I needed to, trying to collect cotton. The idea with the cotton is we need to make enough cloth to be able to make a sleeping bag. That's really the only cloth item that I'm overly concerned about the first day, unless it's a temperature related item. Now if you do spawn in when you're hot, you can make a plant fiber hat, and then if you find 2 cloth, you can also make a bandana, and those 2 are enough if you're naked to keep you cool in all but the hottest of the deserts. At the very least, they should be enough to keep you cool long enough to get out of wherever you're at. Okay, so we've got a house over here at the end of that gravel path, and it is actually a great house to spend the first night in. So a lot of your first week's going to be spent traveling and looting. Depends on, I guess, your own personal preference. I personally spend my first week traveling and looting for the most part, and I don't settle into somewhere until about day 6 or so. Then I fortify for day 7. And usually get that done in a day or two because the day 7 horde's not too big. And some people prefer to kind of find somewhere and just settle in right off the bat until they've been able to like fortify themselves, kind of made a base, kind of nesting, if you will. And that's fine. Nothing wrong with that whatsoever. That might actually be the easier thing for a brand new player to do. And I'm not approaching that house quite yet because I do want to run around and get a few more feathers. I also need to... I'm already hungry, so I need to wear my clothing and eat my chili. And this guy's a real problem because he's a fast zombie and he is closing in on me quick, so I'm actually going to fight him. I don't normally fight many zombies if I don't have to on my first day. Now he's down, but he is not out. So I'm gonna never assume a zombie is dead, especially here at the beginning, until they've been down for a while, or until you're able to loot them. So as you saw, I just ran up on him. I didn't have any other zombies around, so I ran up to him to check him. I wasn't able to loot him. That lets me know that he's just stunned. Put another arrow into his head. I'm still freezing. I am starting to dry out though, so that hopefully will get better shortly. Oops. I don't find it very useful to look down the sights on these, on the bow and arrow. Oh, that's a great find right there. Honey will, if I get infected I can use honey, I believe it's in the first day of infection, maybe it's 2 days of infection, to cure that infection. So finding honey is an awesome find for that first day. Like I said, I'm kind of circling this house. I've pretty much already decided that this is where I'm going to spend my first night. There's another awesome find. That club is way better than anything I'm going to be able to make. And you notice I didn't even make a club. That's going to differ from video to video. Most guys are probably going to make a club. I find the clubs to be so utterly useless I don't even want to take up an inventory spot for them. The wooden club, I'm sorry, the very first one that you make. If I get stuck in melee, whether I have the club or not, I'm probably going to die if I'm truly stuck and I just cannot get away. So I rarely make a club, but if I find a club I will certainly use it. I am attracting quite a bit of attention as I'm going around here in circles. I am still trying to gather up as much feathers as possible. If I was a new player, I probably would not let these guys get this close. That is where it's easiest to get that headshot. It's also easiest place to get hit. And this guy's really moving around a lot. And he moves really fast. I do find it's a little easier to just aim for the neck, because that moves a lot less. That's a great find right there. See? So I'm going to wear that. That gives me plus 10 insulation instead of plus 5 from my plant fiber. I'm also going to go ahead and read that. Unlock the recipe for the wrench. Don't have the forged iron necessary to make one, but it's super nice that I got the recipe. And now I'm going to see how many arrows I can make. 56, and that's going to leave me with 0 stone, so I'm going to actually head out to find some more stone. It's potassium nitrate right there, used pretty much exclusively in the making of antibiotics and gunpowder. Mostly gunpowder. You won't make a lot of antibiotics anymore due to the fact that the honey has kind of replaced them for the most part. I find that honey is common enough that I rarely need to go out of my way to find it or to make antibiotics. So I'm just going to double check my supply here. I got some wood, I've got enough stone. I'm going to queue that up for scrapping. Got lots more feathers though. Whoa, she snuck up on me. The zombies are very sneaky in this alpha, I noticed. They don't always make a noise. I am low on food. That is only happening because I was cold and wet and ran through all my food extra quick. This house will almost certainly have some food. There's a little glitch there where the sidewall didn't spawn in, it looks like. So this house will almost certainly have some food in it, so I'm not overly concerned about that quite yet. I do want to make sure I have plenty of stone so I can make some more arrows if needed. So I might have to spend some time killing these guys. There's a duffel bag, always worth stopping for the duffel bags. There's some food right there. There's tons of animals around here. If I really get hard up for food, I could go hunting. Don't like to spend time hunting on the first day. Those guys are moving at such a clip, I'm going to bet that that is one of the tiny hordes. The game does spawn in little 3-man mini hordes occasionally. So notice that I'm mostly just outrunning the zombies. I'm not stopping to fight a lot of zombies. Occasionally one of them will get to be a kind of a pain. But for the most part, perfectly content just to outrun them. You heard my stomach grumbling right there. The game's just reminding me that I'm still hungry. And there's the shivering, reminding me that I'm still cold. I believe that's actually getting better. You do get those cues anytime we hit those temperatures. Yeah, it just got better, I warmed up. And now I'm cold again because I went uphill a little bit. So one nice thing about this house is I'm really familiar with this house. It is a vanilla house. That means it's in the game whether you have the combo pack or not. It is not a rundown house. They added rundown houses, or kind of decaying houses, in Alpha 13. That's kind of, those would be great to find on your first day because they don't have any zombies in them. I got a little break here where no zombies seem to know where I'm at, so I'm going to go ahead and eat this. Scrap this. Wear these goggles. I don't think they provide me any insulation. And check what else I got here real quick. Doing alright. That zombie's found me. Oop, that zombie's found me. This particular house is not one of those, and those houses are nice because they don't have any zombies. This house has zombies, and it is probably 5 or 10 zombies that are attached to the house itself, plus whatever zombies I've made angry by running around. So I'm going to have to start clearing these guys out. I usually give myself to about... Oh, I don't know what just killed that guy. Give myself to about 1800 to start settling in for the night on my first night. That one fooled me. I've had no luck on hitting these guys. Oh, great find. Ration, that'll keep me going while they're doing their getting up animation. So if I can run up and put one into them while they're down, that's great. If they start to get up, I'm just going to move away from them. Let them finish getting up, and then I'll go ahead and hit them again. There's Nurse. Nurses are my favorite zombie to kill. They have some of the best loot, and they're also some of the easiest ones to kill. One didn't have anything great, just a bandage, but... Okay, so I think I've got maybe one more zombie inside the house. Oh, no, there he is. There's probably one inside the house, too. Somebody's done that damage there. Crawlers are obnoxious in that they're very hard to get a headshot on now. I'm thinking that there's probably a hitbox issue there. We might see a fix for that at some future point. Somehow that did not kill him. It was darn close. Okay, so I need to get inside this house, and I want to make sure that I have somewhere to stay the night. I happen to know this particular house very well. It's been in the game since forever. That's a good find right there. I'm going to wear that to keep myself warm. I don't put on the bandana because the bandana actually cools you down, so... Grab the stuff that's in these cupboards. These are easy to grab. Ah, that's great. Another ration. And I hear a big angry, and he's probably upstairs. So, we're going to have to go deal with him. But like I said, I do know this house pretty well, and basically what we want to do on the first night is we want to get up high, somewhere where the zombies won't be able to reach us, by taking out that bottom rung of the ladder. They usually aren't able to climb up here. Now this is a special case because sometimes they will be able to walk off of here and get onto the ladder. Yep. And there she is. Kind of lucky that it's a nurse. Also, pretty lucky. Just gonna scrap that. She had an antibiotic on her. And there is, it appears, a zombie on the other side of this wall. Or else she's been beating on that wall. That's also a possibility. But I can hear a zombie somewhere. So what we don't want to do is we don't want to end up with that zombie coming after us in the middle of the night, coming through that wall. Cans might be useful. You'll see some videos where people are saving these cans and using them to fill them with water. And without a cooking pot, you can, if you fill those with water, you can cook them into drinking water. I've never had an issue where I needed to do that, so I'm going to skip that actually. The blood bag is very useful for making first aid kits. However, I'm a long ways from making first aid kits, so I'm just going to eat it. That's kind of a weird terminology there. And it's going to provide me with a little bit of food and water. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make a hatch. Just a nice plain wooden hatch right here. So like I said, the zombies aren't able to navigate the ladders very well. They can't attack up or down at all. So if you can get above or below them, they will get as close as they can to you, either above or below you. And then they'll stand there like dopes, trying to figure out what to do next. If I put a hatch on there, then even if they get onto this ladder somehow, they won't be able to get past the hatch because they can't attack upwards to attack the hatch. So I know on the other side of this door is a kitchen, and I am running a little low on food. So what I'd really like to do is get into that kitchen. I've got 3 hours of daylight left. I'd like to be able to loot that kitchen a little bit. Get some food. Go ahead and eat that right away to clear out the inventory space. You can see out the window there's some zombies running around. Now sometimes you'll see everything in the inventory just jump into my inventory. That's me pressing the R key. The R key grabs everything. Now the R key, one thing to be aware of is the fact that it does make more noise than moving items over individually. And zombies are attracted to noise. Cooking pot is a great find. That's exactly what I'm looking for. Go ahead and scrap those and make some space in my inventory. Almost everybody can find a cooking pot in their first day or two. Eat that soup, make some space. Another bottle of water. So this kitchen is absolutely wonderful. I'm getting nice and stocked up here. Got some food, got some water. These nightstands. Whew, big angry out there. There's a pool in the backyard, and a lot of times the zombies will get stuck in that pool. I don't need this ladder. I'm going to take this pistol. Finding a pistol on your first day is pretty rare, but it's a really good find. Don't really need that iron. So I'm going to take this to scrap it. If I was in a hot zone, I'd wear that tank top, but I'm not in a hot zone. Vitamins, just go ahead and use them right off the bat. There's no point in keeping them. Don't need nails. Bring that bandana in. Just going to scrap that, and I'm going to scrap the tank top. I really don't need the moldy bread either, so I'm just going to go ahead and leave that here. These couches, before I leave, I'm going to bust these couches up and get... They will give me leather. And wood. Got one nicer there. So I'm pretty sure that that zombie is stuck out in the pool. I'm gonna head up here and I'm gonna close that hatch behind me. Got 2 hours of daylight left, and what I'm gonna do is somebody's already started beating on this. I'm gonna go ahead and finish this one off so I can get a look through here to find out if there's a zombie in this room. I see a gun safe and a purse, but I don't see a zombie. So I think all we're hearing up here is the zombies outside. And with that in mind, I've got a little bit of time left before the sun goes down, so I'm going to come on out and try to do a little more looting. Getting through doors and boarded up windows is a real pain in the butt in the first couple of days, but pretty quickly your stone axe will get a lot better, and you'll also replace it with a fire axe. So just bear with it. You won't be sitting here banging on away forever. I think that is the one I already got. Yep, that's unfortunate. That's a great find though. Actually, turn that into 3 bottles of water. Purses are amazing. Get a little glitch here, or maybe that's a Murphy bed, I don't know. Short iron pipes, we need at least 2 of them in the beginning. Don't need a blood draw kit right now. Take an extra bandage just because. 2 bottles of murky water, I'm going to take those because I already found a cooking pot. If I didn't have a cooking pot, then I probably wouldn't even worry about them. So with the cooking pot I can boil those into drinkable water. Shirt. If I don't end up wearing that shirt, then I'll break it down into cloth scraps. And cloth scraps are super useful because we really want to be able to make a sleeping bag this first night. And we need at least 10 cloth to do so. So I quickly went looking around, didn't see anything else to loot. I'm going to go ahead and head up here about a half an hour early. Left anything good there. There's a purse in here. I may spend the night trying to get to that purse just because the zombies already done some of the work for me. Probably wouldn't normally though, because those rooms usually it's not worth the time and effort to get through that door, because then I won't even be able to open that gun safe with the tools that I have right now. But I'm probably going to treat this as a little base right here. Probably gonna come back here. I've got 5 cloth. Okay, so that shirt was a little better than the shirt I had on. There's not a lot of difference in the quality of the shirts. Basically, it's just the quality is just going to kind of determine the durability, how much durability they have. But as far as their benefit, you see they both give me plus 10 insulation. So I'm going to go ahead and scrap this one. See, that gives me 1 cloth. I have cotton, 60 cotton, so what I'm going to do is hit recipes, cloth fragments, and that's going to allow me to make 30 cloth. That noise that you just heard, kind of an ominous noise, was it turning into night? That means the zombies are running now. They run at 2200 no matter what your settings are. Daylight comes at different times depending on different settings. The default 16-hour days gives you morning at 6 a.m. My preferred setting of 18-hour days gives you a morning of 4 a.m. It just lets you kind of strike out a little earlier. I find that the nights are a little bit boring, so alright guys, so that's day 1 right there. That's basically how every one of my day 1s goes, is just try to Get some basic tools and weapons. Get yourself into a place where you're not freezing or dying of heat. And then find some shelter for that first night, somewhere that you can kind of save up. And then my big thing tonight is going to be, I'm going to make a sleeping bag and lay it down right here, so that if I wander out tomorrow and get eaten by a bear, I won't have to go so far to get my body. As soon as I can just set that down. Perfect. Alright guys, I'll probably do another video to kind of cover what to do the first night, and then maybe another video on what to do the second day. But that's where I'm going to cut it off for this video of how to survive your first day. And so now you're safe and sound in a nice attic somewhere up high where the zombies can't get you. Alright, thanks for watching guys.